Hello everyone, this is Yalda from Eat, Burn, Sleep, the online low inflammation, gut health and sustained weight loss platform. If you follow me on my social media, you probably know that I love learning, discovering new things, meeting passionate individuals. So I have decided to launch this podcast where I interview amazing people. We're going to be talking about physical health, mental health, well-being, with people who are passionate about what they do and who strive for excellence. I hope you learn from it and you enjoy it. Let's get started. This week, I'm hosting Carlota Rodriguez Benito, the author of Beauty as It Is. Carlota is a best-selling author and a former ballerina. She reached out to me when she was writing her book and kindly interviewed me. She believes that beauty is a choice, that the moment you choose to feel beautiful, you are beautiful. We are going to discuss all things beauty in this podcast. I hope you enjoy it. Good morning, Carlota. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much.
So today I have Carlota who's here to talk to us about beauty. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background. A few months ago, when I was right in the middle of finishing writing the 6-week plan, I got an email from this beautiful girl who said to me, "Hi, I'm a student in Paris. I'm writing a book about beauty. Could I please ask you a few questions and include you in my book?" And I thought to myself, oh, how kind to ask me what I think about beauty, of course. So I have answered the questions. And then Carlota came to London and we finally met face to face. And I have to say, I was completely fascinated by her project. And I thought it would be really interesting to share with you. So my channel, of course, is about health, and health has a massive impact on the way we feel and the way we look. And to me, beauty comes very much from the inside. Talking to Carlota was so thought-provoking because the way she thinks about beauty and the way she's written about it is a way I have never thought about it myself. And I thought, okay, let's have her on the podcast. So Carlota, can you give us a little bit of background about you, about your story, about how you came to write this book and what? You're so young. How old are you?
I'm 22.
So she's 22, but her soul feels like she's 104. She's so wise. She's got this wise vibe about her. So tell us, how did you come to do this?
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me on this podcast. It means so much.
My pleasure.
Having you on my book was also amazing because I do have a very large part of my book that is about holistic beauty and how what you put inside your body affects your life. And you're a perfect example of that. So it really means a lot to have you in that chapter. But just to tell you a little bit about me, I am originally from Spain and I traveled around the world a lot with my parents because of my dad's job. So we moved a lot and at times it was hard, but it has predominantly been one of the best things that could have ever happened in my life because I learned so much about different cultures and different perspectives of life and different perspectives of beauty. And I didn't really realize how much this had affected my life until I got older in life. And well, older, I'm 22, but until recently. But basically, I was always a ballerina, and the projection of beauty for me was always very important because it was the projection of beauty on stage. And so ballet was a core part of my life. I moved from country to country when I was little. I lived in 6 different countries, and the only thing that really kept as a staple was ballet, and was that everywhere I moved, I still had my Russian ballet teachers, my Cuban ballet teachers, and French in my ballet classroom. And so I was a prima ballerina for 15 years, and that really trained my brain to think, how do you project beauty to an audience on stage? And so I always thought about this, and moving a lot also had to make me think about it again because I was the new girl, had to project what I wanted to make people see me as, right? And And so moving along, I always had a very innate passion for beauty, for pampering, for anything that it was to make to enhance, like doing my nails when I was little, etc. And not too long ago in February, I had a professor from Georgetown University approach me and ask me if I wanted to write a book with him. He was doing a project with a lot of students that are also publishing books at the same time as I am. And his passion and his motive is to have students that create be able to really transmit messages to other people by having books out there.
How amazing.
It was
amazing.
Spectacular. I mean, yes. It came into my life at the exact point that I needed it to come in, because I was a little bit lost, as a lot of college students are, with what I was going to do in my life. And it was a perfect opportunity for me to become an expert in something I was so passionate about, yet hadn't studied before in the past. So I took on this project with him, and the way I decided to approach this book was to interview 60 people in the field and ask them about what they thought of beauty, how they made it in beauty, and what beauty meant to them and to their consumers. And so I went ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Of course.
Can you give us a few names of people you interviewed?
Of course. So I interviewed people from a lot of different backgrounds, people like Anastasia Soar from Anastasia Beverly Hills, Dr. Barbara Sturm, Dr. John Martin, which is a really famous cosmetic surgeon. Also talked to Peter Thomas Roth and interviewed Carla Martinez de Salas, which is the editor-in-chief of Vogue Mexico.
Amazing.
So that's a little bit of a spectrum. Nice. There were 60 people that go through them, so they're also very important. And
what am I doing there?
And your insight was super, super valuable, and you're doing exactly what you're supposed to in there. But anyway, so I first of all, when I started writing this book, it was a little secret of mine. I didn't really know what I was going to write about, because I knew I really had this passion. And so I'd interview people and tell them I was writing a book about beauty, but what was a book about beauty? So it was so broad, but really what I had to do is interview so many people in order to get a vision of what beauty to them was, beauty to the consumers is, and what society perceives beauty as. So when I knew that, that's when I went in and decided to structure my chapters in standalone chapters. So this book can be read chapter by chapter. You don't need to go from A to Z.
That's amazing, because it's quite nice to be able to dip in and out of a book.
Yeah, that's what I thought that would be nice, because there's so much information, so many insights, so many stories, so many facts that would have been maybe lost if it wouldn't be written down, because these are such important things, like a little treasure box of all of these professionals in the industry that are telling their stories, that haven't told their stories before.
Oh my God, this is going to become my go-to gift for my girlfriends. Right?
I would love that.
Now when people buy books to other people, it's more coffee table books.
Yes.
But every single girl I know cares about beauty. So getting her a book like this, it's not that expensive, but it's a touching gift.
Right.
And the fact that you can dip in and out, it's not a commitment either.
Yes.
So it's quite good. It's a very good gift idea.
Yeah. And
talking about that, where can we buy it?
So it's going to be available on Amazon.
Okay.
And I am going to work on putting it in different bookstores and different other e-shops and sellers. But for now, it's going to be available on Amazon.
So when the podcast, by the time you listen to this, it will be on Amazon?
Yes.
Okay,
that's
brilliant.
Correct.
Brilliant.
So you'll have the link and everything.
And it's called Beauty as It Is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Beauty as It Is.
By Carlota Rodriguez Benito.
Yes.
So Beauty as It Is, Carlota, you should see it on your Amazon page.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on. So tell us the chapters. Can you give us examples of things you cover within them?
Yes. So this book is really a tool book for you to be able to empower you to choose to feel beautiful. Because in the end, beauty is a choice. And the moment where you choose to feel beautiful is when you will be perceived as beautiful by the rest of people. So that's the very big overarching theme in my book. And I have covered different chapters. Some chapters are very scientific based. with a lot of data in them and research. Other chapters are more insight-based from different professionals that I interviewed, and other chapters are more story-based. So it's very intimate stories of some people in the industry, and also people that have been able to have a voice in the industry to really give a population that has been underrepresented before the power to feel beautiful. Because we all have a right to feel beautiful, and that's kind of what makes us put our best foot forward every day. When you feel good, you can do anything. So that's my real true overarching topic in the book. And then you can read every chapter on its own, but the main ideas are trends in the industry.
Okay.
So what are the trends? How can we become a more conscious consumer?
Yes.
How can we become more aware?
Yes, when we had, sorry to interrupt again, but when we had coffee a couple of days ago, you pointed out something I had no idea about regulation standards, and how in the US, for example, the regulation standards are quite low, and so anything can be branded clean and it won't necessarily make it to the European standards. So tell us more about that for people to realize what it is they're buying.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting part of the book, I find, as well. There's something really big right now going on that's called greenwashing.
Okay.
So greenwashing entails companies putting things like organic, clean, safe, green, anything in that spectrum, that all natural. But what does all this mean, right? Because you can have all natural ingredients, but that doesn't mean that it's all good for you. So there's some products that if it's all natural, you need a preservative that isn't natural to preserve what you're putting
nutrients,
in. Exactly.
Of course, otherwise it goes off.
Exactly. And so that's the big question right now is, what do these things mean? Of course, there are brands out there that are very, very loyal and very ethical and do things in a very proper way to give their consumers the best and most potent results possible. But what I find very sad is that a lot of people are capitalizing, a lot of companies are capitalizing on just saying that they have all of these levels of security, levels of organicness, or levels of all natural that aren't specifically regulated by any third party. So that's a problem, because people like me, for example, or like people that want to have something that is good for their own skin, they go and buy it and they think that they're doing the right thing by buying something that is green, that is all natural, but really it's not. And so it's really important to research. The most important thing really is to research who is behind this brand, right? Who is this person? Why did they make this brand? Were they just someone famous that decided that, oh, I have a really good following, I'm going to make a skincare line, or I'm going to make a beauty line? Or is it someone that really gave it thought and said, I have a story, I have research, I have a medical background, I have a clinical background, I've had cystic acne before, I've had problems before, so I know how it feels like and what I'm supposed to do to get there. And really, that's what I've noticed talking to all these professionals. The ones that make it really far are the people that have answers to all of these questions. And it's really easy to realize the people that really have all these answers when you research them. And so that's something that I really encourage in the book, is not to be a passive consumer of beauty, to be an intentional consumer of beauty, to have purpose as to why you're getting, to be able to answer why I have this type of hyaluronic acid, or why I use these ingredients, or why I use this makeup.
You know, it's the same with food. For example, just a couple of examples. A lot of these foods are branded healthy. For example, you'll see some packaged food and it says gluten-free, healthy, full of fiber. Oftentimes, when I read the ingredients, it's junk. It's processed junk. Yes, it doesn't have gluten, but it's got corn flour. It's got all these things that are super inflammatory. And similarly, when I started trying to be healthier, I would always buy organic food, organic vegetables, organic everything. And, you know, I was happy to pay that extra 50% because that's what it costs to feel that I was not getting chemicals. But then when I started researching it, I was like, hold on. organic standards are not the same around the world. Organic standards in the UK are very, very, very tight. They can barely make any money, the farmers who grow organic stuff, because it costs double to produce it, but they only sell at 1.5 over. But organic in, Kenya or green beans that come from, it's not the same regulation. The checks are not made the same way. Those vegetables are transported here. There is a carbon footprint and a loss of nutrients because they have been picked so long ago. So after all these years, the way I buy organic is chicken will always be organic because otherwise it's full of antibiotics. When it comes to meat and things like that, I will favor grass-fed because it's more anti-inflammatory, higher in omega-3 and lower in omega-6 because grains are inflammatory. And when it comes to fruit and vegetables, I will always favor local because even when you have organic from a good country with good standards, and there is cross-contamination between fields through water in the ground, but sometimes just the wind will take
so
the chemicals and then it's wrapped in plastic.
Right.
So you get stuff from plastic anyway.
Right.
And so the bottom line from all my research is just go local. It's your best bet.
That's awesome.
And generally, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
So it is important. I find that whether it comes to beauty or food or travel or everything, when you go and travel, you do your research about the hotel, you check, you read the reviews.
Right.
No one can do that for us.
Right.
And this is something, so you can educate people, I can educate people, but at the end of the day, everyone has to do their homework.
100%.
Health can't be outsourced, beauty can't be outsourced. You can't really, truly outsource anything. You have to do it yourself.
And bringing back health, it's if you're not healthy, you can't feel beautiful. So if you're not outsourcing, if you're not buying the right products, not only to ingest orally, but also to put on your skin, because in 20 minutes you already have any cream that you've been putting on your skin inside your bloodstream.
Yes.
So all of these things that people are buying and are buying maybe because a bottle looks cute or because
the perfume is nice,
the fragrance is nice, which also most of the time the very, very good ingredients don't really have that much fragrance.
Yes.
And something very interesting that I actually learned from a pharmacist that I interviewed for my book is that texture ingredients cost the same sometimes as really potent, good quality ingredients. So sometimes you can get a cream that is a luxury cream and you're buying, for example, you're paying for it $70 or you're paying for it $150 and you might be paying for the texturizing ingredients and not really for the ingredients that make it potent.
Wow.
And so this is also something very interesting and important to think about, because what comes to show is that you need to find a brand that you believe in, a brand that you can be loyal to, that you trust, because it's so hard. Even doctors, even pharmacists, with food, sometimes it's a little bit easier because you look in the back of the ingredients and you work with these in the kitchen.
Yes.
But with beauty, you look in the back and everything looks like
it's like Chinese
gibberish. Exactly. Yeah. So what happens is that even pharmacists that are working with it all the time, they also have to research something. So imagine us, right? We're buying things quickly. We see now we're buying things on the internet all the time. On Instagram a lot, it's a new thing to buy. So this impulse and compulsive buying is affecting a lot the quality of what we're buying and the consciousness of what we're buying.
So the great thing is, I get your book, I become educated, and then I save money.
Yes, exactly.
Brilliant. It is so interesting, but I feel like people are becoming more and more aware of all these things. But when it comes to topical transdermal absorption, when you put things topically on your skin, I talk about it in the 6-week plan, and I talk about vitamin absorption, and I explain, this same thing with supplements. you have to do your research, and I've done it for my followers, so it's all in there for them.
Which is so convenient and amazing.
Yeah, because it depends. Is it a food-based supplement? Is it because if it's chemically done, then the liver, the cell is not the same size as your cells, so the liver has to break it down. It's extra work for the liver, so it's toxifying. And sometimes if you're missing cofactors, you're not absorbing it anyway.
That's very interesting.
So I in the 6-week plan, I talk about supplements, and I say, okay, you need to favor these and these and these, and I talk about the ones that go through the skin, like magnesium salts for your bath, you absorb it really well, or because 70% of what you put on your skin is absorbed. Right. It's huge. It's huge. So I'll just share with you and with all the listeners, when it comes to beauty for me, for the eye cream, I'm not too paranoid because it's such a small area to cover. I'll go and get the most potent one. It doesn't matter if it's not natural. But for my body, because it's such a huge area to cover, and I absorb 70% of what I put on there, basically what I'll put on my skin, on my body, generally I can eat it.
Right.
If I can eat it, then I can moisturize with it.
Right.
That's what I mean. I don't do it 100% of the time, 80%. So I don't become, over obsessed with beauty. Like I apply the same approach as I apply to food, but I give some thought to it because, as you say, within 20 minutes, it's in your bloodstream.
Yeah, and these are things that we would like to think that we think about, but the reality is that we're so busy all the time. And so it's so important for people, for things like that, what is featured on the book to be out there, things like all of your research and the Eat, Burn, Sleep programs that you have to be out there and to help people, because I understand that maybe someone that is not as interested in beauty products or in the way that beauty products can affect us, they don't have as much time to invest in looking and researching all these things. But just a little bit of consciousness, just a little bit more of
they're aware
of understanding and being aware of trends, because sometimes we just subscribe to trends just because they're there, right? And we don't realize, is it something actually that is benefiting me? Is it making me feel more beautiful? Or am I just subscribing it and actually it might be tampering the way that it makes you feel, right? Because maybe it's a beauty trend that you wouldn't normally think that it would be your thing, for example.
Absolutely.
There's people that want to get lip injections, and that's completely great. If you want to have your lip injections and you've always wanted, or you have something that gives you an insecurity,
yes.
Then we have all this innovation and these great formulas that can do things like that. So that's great that you can get rid of this insecurity. But now we have so much visual content on the internet of people getting their lips done all the time, that maybe you start thinking like, oh, should I get my lips done? And then are you trying to get your lips done because you want to subscribe to a certain trend? Or is it something that you wanted? So these are things that people can do whatever they want to feel beautiful. And I truly believe that. But whenever you feel like it's the right thing for you and it's going to make you feel better, because if you just keep subscribing to things as a passive consumer, then you'll never be happy with how you look.
For sure.
And that's just...
The number one thing is about you and yourself. Actually, I talk about it in the 6-week plan because there's a whole area about mental wellness. And I say, the way you look on the outside is a reflection of how healthy you are on the inside,
100%.
In your body and in your mind. And I share what I do for myself. I've been through very difficult times in my life. On a health side, personal side, I've been through quite a bit. And what kept me going is to have strong values and to stick to them. No matter what people think, no matter what people say, this is my line of conduct and I'm sticking to it. And when you do that, it gives you that strength inside. Because if you start following the wind, it'll take you everywhere. If you start following trends, one day you'll do this, the next day you'll do that, the next day, and you'll feel completely empty inside. And I feel like we need to elevate our souls.
Right.
And it's more than it's more than how am I looking, how I have strong values, I have this, I have that, I have, it's not about instant gratification, but about long-term happiness.
Yes.
And it's like when you go for a run, it's not that pleasant at the beginning. It feels amazing at the end of it. Mm-hmm. And to me, this applies to everything. And when it comes to beauty or health, it's the same thing. Yes, I would like to eat all the chocolate eclairs, but I'm not going to do it. It's delayed gratification. I'll feel great for it. Right. Maybe, I'm feeling insecure 30 seconds about the lips, but when we met because you saw that I had Clémence on a live. So Clémence is this amazing lady who wrote a book about French beauty. And she interviewed all these plastic surgeons and everything. And when you do fillers or you do Botox, it's not a free ride. It stretches your skin. And once it's stretched, it doesn't go back. And one day I went for a facial at a place where I go all the time. And the lady who did my facial was telling me about someone who had a little complex about their upper lip. So she went and did a bit of lip injections and it looked great. But the problem is because it stretches the lip, every time you go back, they have to increment, like they have to, just a little bit, they have to increase the amount, a little bit. A few years later, she had a huge upper lip. It looked ridiculous. She could see it looked ridiculous. So she decided to remove it. She removed it, but then she was left with saggy skin. And that you can't take back. She had a saggy upper lip. So she had to put it back in. And people, I find, from my point of view, I'm not someone who did any fillers or anything like that, so I have never researched it. But from what I see, no one ever talks about this. Everyone talks about the fact that you can do it, that this is how it's going to make you look, but they don't say when you see a woman who's done it for 20 years, she looks like a panther and a cat. Because she hasn't, when she started it, she didn't want to end up looking like that. Right. But that's what happens. And I feel like there's a lot of misinformation out there. I mean, that's my personal opinion on this. I think there should be a disclaimer saying, you know what? In 10 years, this is how it's going to look like if you start now. It's not, if you look at the first injection, it looks great. Let's see after the 50th how you're left.
I think this all comes from this false perception that we think that beauty is perfection.
Yes.
We strive for perfection, but perfection is the enemy of great. So we should strive to look great for ourselves, not to look perfect for others. Because I think that looking perfect for others is what drives us to do all these things. When you strive to look great for yourself, you think of beauty in a way different perspective. And what I thought that was super interesting is that there's one question that I asked every single person I interviewed, which was the same. I obviously changed all the other questions because there were people from such different fields in the beauty industry. But the question was, what is your perspective? What is your perception of beauty? And it's one question that makes everyone stutter because I think that not a lot of people have ever verbalized what their perception of beauty is. Because you think it and you talk about it in your brain, but you never really tell someone what beauty is to you and what you perceive as beautiful. And when all these people told me, I realized that they all say the same exact thing, no matter what region of the world they're from, no matter what position they have, no matter what company, conglomerate, indie brand, third surgeon, doctor, anything. They think that, and I think as well, that beauty comes from with this energy that you feel from someone else.
Correct.
Beauty is what makes you smile, what makes you want to stay next to someone, what makes you want to keep talking to them.
Yes.
The connection with your eyes, the way they talk, the way they express their mission, their passions, the way they communicate with other people, the way they behave with you, what they give off, that it's an intangible thing. There can be a woman that isn't, or a man that isn't as attractive as a supermodel. But that never means that that supermodel will be more beautiful than this woman, because beauty is something that you perceive when you're with someone. And it's not the biggest mistake is to equate beauty with a sex appeal or a sense of having to look a certain aesthetic. Because beauty for everyone in the world, it's subjective. And people say, yes, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I agree to a certain extent to that because, of course, it's in the eye of the beholder. But if you don't express the right type, if you don't invest in your inner beauty, if you don't foster that inner beauty, what are you giving off to that beholder, to that person that is looking at you, right? Like it's in the eyes of the beholder, but you're the one that's having them look, you're the one that's expressing it. So I think it's really important to take a step back and really ask yourself, what is beautiful to you? What do you want to subscribe to? What makes you feel better? And we invest so much time and money on what we look like on the outside. And that's something that goes, that's something that changes, that's something that you can get sick and you can see changes in your physical appearance.
Absolutely.
What doesn't change is
that's
what you feel inside,
yes.
That energy that you make people want to be with you, make people want to talk to you and share their life stories with you. And that's what real beauty is to me.
For me, beauty is health.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember after I had my health issues, and so a lot of you guys who are listening know that I suffer from autoimmune conditions, ulcerative colitis, and then I developed something really rare called autoimmune hemolytic anemia. And I spent a lot of time in and out of hospitals. And during that time, I could not keep weight on. So when I was younger, I always wanted to lose weight, like every 18-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And there I was, so weak, couldn't digest anything. It was a nightmare. And I had lost muscle, hair, my skin was awful, everything was going wrong. And after one of my hospital stays, I remember vividly, a friend of mine very kindly invited me to a fashion show in London during London Fashion Week.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh, wonderful, it's nice, going out with a girlfriend. And I started feeling so uneasy because I saw all these women walking and I could see that how unhealthy their weight was. And I felt like I was back in hospital.
Wow.
And I had the worst time. And for me, beauty is health. It comes from the inside. So you can see the same person when they lead an unhealthy lifestyle and then they start leading a healthy lifestyle. It's not just about losing weight or gaining
Mm-hmm.
muscle. It's about, because when you eat the right thing, you sleep the right way, you exercise the right way, you produce the best hormones, you produce pheromones, you become there, you have that sex appeal, but from a very animal point of view.
Right.
And it transpires. You're radiating, but it's an animal thing. People look at you and you're sexier, they want to grab you, they want to bite you. Because your chemistry is different on the inside, and that has nothing to do with the shape of your nose.
Right.
So if you love yourself, and you have you do self-care because you respect your body, you respect your mind, as a result, you will look better for it, you will feel better for it, you will be more beautiful. But it's not about the size of your upper lip.
Right.
It's about health. And that day, maybe because I was so sensitized coming out of hospital, I would feel the vibes of everyone. Maybe I felt the vibes of these girls who are being told all day, every day that they're not good enough. And so they starve themselves, and there they are, and they looked like skeletons walking around. And to me, I couldn't look at the clothes. I couldn't wait to get out. That's how I felt that day. I don't feel like this anymore now. I was really at a point in my life where I was highly sensitive to these things, but it's, it shed a light onto it for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's such thank you for sharing that story. It's so real that a lot of people have this perception that is unattainable, and it's not only unattainable, but it's unhealthy, and it goes contrary to our biological roots, right?
Absolutely.
Like this, what you're talking about, that it's this health, that people attract, that are like innately attracted to. It's sexual selection.
Correct.
It's people, you're attracted to it by nature, this is our animal instinct.
Yes.
your sexual selection is you want to keep your DNA alive.
Yes.
So you want to reproduce, and your subconscious and your animalness inside is what attracts you to people that are healthy. People,
Yes.
This is another thing with teeth, with gums. People have healthy teeth. People have healthy mouths.
Yes.
This means health inside, because that's really where people have healthy skin. You see it, you feel it, and you're attracted to it because it means that you're in some way healthy. Therefore, you're fertile and you can reproduce. This is just something that...
And talking about people who are not fertile anymore, one day I was staying with friends in the countryside in England, and we all met for breakfast. It was a big party, and there was this beautiful woman who was probably mid-70s, slim, grey hair, piercing blue eyes, very, very wrinkled skin, and extremely... I was looking at her eating, and I was like, oh, she's so sexy. But she has all these wrinkles, but she's so beautiful. Her hair was thick, the white of her eyes was white, her teeth, there was that sexual thing about her, but she was a woman who had gone through the menopause, who had grey hair and lots of wrinkles. And I started chatting to her, and she was a hiker. She's a very, very active woman. After that, we went on a hike. I could not keep up with her.
That's amazing.
And that's where her beauty came from.
Yeah.
It was not about having the smoothest skin or like hair. Like when she was 20, she was so stunning and properly sexy,
right?
Because she was healthy. And I was like, oh my God, goals. I want to age like that.
Right. And
give me the wrinkles, but give me that energy.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? She was probably also following her passions. That's what she loved. That's what she does, what she loves. And she is herself. She's a hiker. And she loves that. And so she does that. She practices what she loves and what makes her feel her. And it's visible.
Yeah. And I love seeing older women like this, because, you know, for me, they're role models. I think this is how I want to age. It's quite nice, you know, in your head to think, to project yourself. And, you know, I'm 41 years old, and I always want to talk about my age because I feel that it should not be a taboo. Why men can say they're 46 and us we can't. Being alive, especially when you've almost died, is a blessing.
Yeah.
So I want to, you know, I almost didn't make it past 34, 35. So I'm 41 and delighted to be 41.
That's amazing.
And also, aging is beautiful.
Right.
It's beautiful. And I want to, you know, I want to look at people, have role models of women who age the way I want to age, the way I feel is inspiring. So I have something to, you know, direct myself towards. And she definitely was one of those.
I love that. Yeah. This whole story about anti-aging. It's so, everyone always wants to become younger, right?
Yes.
So it's, what can I do so I look younger? How can I get a treatment that makes me look younger? And the thing is that exactly what you say, I think that it's not a quick fix. Looking radiant and looking beautiful and aging beautifully is not about wanting to be younger. It's not about not wanting to age. It's about being so content and healthy with your own self and with your mind and your physical body that makes you age like this woman that then you're so drawn to, right?
So drawn
this thing
to.
that you can't even explain.
Yeah, it's about the way you carry yourself.
Yeah.
It's really, it's charisma.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. We're going to have to wrap up soon, but I mean, I could go on talking about this forever.
No, me too.
What are the main things you took away from writing this book?
So I took away, it would be a list that goes on forever, but one thing that I think that really opened my mind to the societies of today and the younger generations of today. I initially thought that this social media and technology and all this big content that we have to digest every day and we consume every day. So people say you are what you eat, right? But you are what you consume with your eyes as well. You are what you choose to ingest
in your mind. Absolutely.
In your mind.
Yes.
And so I always thought prior to this book, oh my goodness, like these poor generations are doomed after us. This is a life of comparison all the time, of all the you're thinking of I'm not enough. But now I really changed my mind about how the way I think of that. After talking to so many professionals, I realized that maybe I thought that because I had the privilege to really see the world since I was little, because of my dad's job, that we would move so much. I got this opportunity to be in international schools, to have friends from Nigeria, Norway, Australia, Argentina. And so I didn't really have a perception of beauty that was of an image of beauty that was so profound, like a lot of people had in their own countries. And social media and all these influencers from all over the world are only giving, if you use social media the right way, they're giving you a 360 vision of what beauty can look like.
Amazing.
And so now, yes, you can think all these kids are looking at beauty and comparing themselves, but also they're seeing that they are a part of beauty, that they are represented in beauty, and that they can be a part of the conversation and feel beautiful.
Amazing. That was such interesting insight. Thank you so much, Carlota. I could go on talking about this forever.
And so could I.
So everyone, if you want to read her book, it is
Beauty as It Is by Carlota Rodriguez Benito
on Amazon, and you can Google it. There are other outlets. If you want to find out more about the 6-week plan from Eat, Burn, Sleep, to start being beautiful from the inside out, you can go on eatburnsleep.com. Thank you to all of you for listening, and thank you, Carlota, for coming.
Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. It was such an honor and pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. You can find Carlota on Instagram at Carlota Rodriguez Benito. Make sure to follow a low inflammation and gut health focused lifestyle, as skin is your biggest organ. You can literally glow from the inside out by following the Eat, Burn, Sleep lifestyle. Thank you to all of you for listening today. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to go on eatburnsleep.com to learn more about gut health and chronic inflammation. I would really appreciate if you could rate this podcast, and of course feel free to share it with anyone who might enjoy it. Have a beautiful day.